The ocean is a place of wonder, vast, powerful, and unpredictable. It draws people in with its beauty, offering serenity one moment and unleashing its fury the next. Nowhere is this contrast more apparent than off the coast of Florida, where the warm waters off the Atlantic and the Gulf off Mexico cradle millions of visitors each year. Florida's coastline stretches for over 1,000 miles, a paradise of golden beaches, swaying palms, and endless horizons. But beneath the postcard-perfect scenery lies an untamed force of nature, swift currents, sudden storms, and shifting tides that have claimed even the most experienced seafarers. The waters here are home to diverse marine life, from playful dolphins to lurking sharks, and beneath the surface, hidden rip currents can turn a peaceful swim into a dangerous struggle. For two young girls, a simple day of adventure on a paddleboard turned into a desperate fight for survival. What started as a carefree outing on calm waters quickly became a nightmare as the ocean carried them farther from shore. With no way to paddle back and the coastline slipping from view, they were at the mercy of nature's powerful grip. What happened that day serves as a chilling reminder of the ocean's unpredictable nature and the fine line between joy and disaster. Welcome to Risky Reality, where risks become reality. Before I start the video, don't forget to like this video. The goal for March is to reach 200 subscribers, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. For now, let's continue the video. Florida's coastline is a paradise of sun-kissed shores, turquoise waters, and thriving marine life. The warm Gulf currents and the vast Atlantic tides create a unique and often unpredictable environment. It's a place where adventure beckons, but the sea's beauty masks its hidden dangers. Paddleboarding has become one of the most popular activities along Florida's waters, offering a peaceful way to explore the coast. Yet, despite its simplicity, even the most tranquil paddleboarding trip can take a terrifying turn when faced with the ocean's raw power. On the afternoon of March 21st, 2025, two 16-year-old friends, Avery Bryan and Eva Aponte, set out on what was supposed to be a short paddleboarding trip. The plan was simple: paddle from the small island of Etsina Odi Key to the mainland town of Cedar Key, a journey of just half a mile. It was a familiar route, one they had taken before, and with the warm sun above and gentle waves beneath them, there was no reason to think this trip would be any different. But nature had other plans. Shortly after pushing off from the island, the wind picked up. At first, it was nothing more than a slight resistance against their paddles, a challenge they laughed about as they fought to stay on course. But as minutes passed, the gusts grew stronger, the waves more unpredictable. Before they could react, a powerful current seized their inflatable paddleboard and pulled them off course. No matter how hard they paddled, they found themselves drifting farther and farther from the shoreline. Panic set in as the familiar landmarks of Cedar Key faded into the horizon. The more they struggled against the current, the more exhausted they became. With each passing minute, their control over the board diminished. The sky darkened, the wind howled, and soon 6-foot waves were crashing around them, turning their simple paddleboarding trip into a desperate fight for survival. With no life jackets and no way to call for help, Avery and Eva were at the mercy of the sea. Their arms ached from paddling, and their clothes were soaked from the relentless spray of the waves. The sun dipped lower in the sky, and as daylight faded, they faced the terrifying reality: they were lost at sea, and night was falling fast. The warm, inviting waters they had once played in had become a vast, merciless expanse, stretching endlessly in every direction. As darkness enveloped them, they struggled to stay composed. The once gentle rolling waves had transformed into an unpredictable force, lifting and dropping their inflatable paddleboard with unnerving intensity. Eva tried to stay positive, reassuring Avery that someone would come looking for them, but deep down, both girls knew they were in serious danger. The ocean's surface, now black as ink, gave them no sense of direction. They had lost track of time, and with each passing moment, the realization that they were utterly alone sank deeper into their minds. The temperature dropped quickly, and the chill of the night air mixed with the dampness of their clothes, making them shiver uncontrollably. Without food, fresh water, or any means to contact the outside world, their only choice was to hold onto the paddleboard and wait for help. But how long would they have to wait? Hours? A full night? Would anyone even realize they were missing before it was too late? In the distance, the occasional splash echoed through the night, making their imaginations run wild. Was it just fish breaking the surface? Or something larger, something lurking beneath them? The thought sent a fresh wave of fear through their already exhausted bodies. The ocean, vast and mysterious, held so many unknowns, and right now, it felt more like an enemy than a friend. As the wind howled and the waves continued their relentless assault, Avery and Eva clung to the board and to each other, drawing what little warmth and comfort they could from their shared presence. The fight to stay on course had turned into a fight for survival, and the night was only just beginning. As darkness fell over the Gulf of Mexico, Avery Bryan and Eva Aponte clung tightly to their inflatable paddleboard, their only lifeline in the vast, churning sea. The air had grown colder, and the water temperature had dropped to the high 30s, sending chills through their soaked bodies. Every passing minute felt like an hour as the wind howled, and towering waves threatened to separate them from their fragile raft. The girls knew that their survival depended on staying together and staying on the board. Fear crept in as exhaustion set in, but they held on to the lessons their families had taught them: stay calm, conserve energy, and never let go of the board. With no food, no fresh water, and no way to signal for help, they had only their instincts and each other to rely on. As the night stretched on, the open ocean became eerily quiet between the crashing waves. The lights of the shore were long gone, replaced by an endless void of darkness. Above them, the stars twinkled, indifferent to their plight. Hypothermia and dehydration began to take hold, making it harder for them to think clearly. Their voices grew weak, their movements sluggish, but they refused to surrender to the freezing night. Despite the overwhelming exhaustion, their senses remained on high alert. Every distant splash sent shivers of fear down their spines. Were they just hearing waves breaking against the water, or was something lurking beneath them? The idea of unseen creatures swimming below the surface made them tighten their grip on the board. The vastness of the ocean, once a playground for them, had turned into a never-ending abyss, swallowing them whole. Meanwhile, back on land, panic had set in. When the girls failed to return home, their families contacted authorities, triggering a massive search effort. The U.S. Coast Guard, Florida Fish and Wildlife, and the Levy and Citrus County Sheriff's offices mobilized, joined by countless volunteers who scoured the waters through the night. Helicopters swept the coastline, boats patrolled the dark waters, and worried loved ones prayed for a miracle. The searchers knew that every second counted. The cold water could sap their strength, and without life jackets, their chances of survival dwindled as the hours dragged on. The hours crawled by. The weight of the night pressed down on Avery and Eva, making every second feel like an eternity. At one point, a wave nearly flipped their board, forcing them to use what little strength they had left to steady themselves. Their fingers were numb, their limbs stiff from the cold. They had no sense of direction, no idea how far they had drifted. Every now and then, they whispered words of encouragement to each other, doing whatever they could to fight off despair. Dawn finally broke, painting the sky with streaks of pink and gold. But for Avery and Eva, the nightmare wasn't over. The morning light revealed just how far they had been carried away. Drifting 14 nautical miles from their starting point, they were barely holding on. Their energy was almost completely drained, their minds hazy with exhaustion and dehydration. As the sun rose higher, they felt the first real warmth in hours, but it was little comfort as they realized they were still stranded. Just when their strength seemed to fail, they spotted movement on the horizon, a fishing boat. 3 fishermen, Will Pauling, Russell Kuhn, and Alex Jeffries, had been navigating the shallow marshes near Yankeetown when they spotted the 2 figures floating on the paddleboard. At first, they could hardly believe what they were seeing, but as they drew closer, they realized the girls were alive, though barely. Avery and Eva tried to call out, but their voices were weak. Their sunburned, salt-crusted faces told the story of the long night they had endured. As the boat approached, relief flooded over them. They were saved. The fishermen pulled Avery and Eva aboard, wrapping them in dry clothes and offering them water. The moment they felt solid ground beneath them, overwhelming relief washed over them. Their ordeal had lasted 16 grueling hours, but they were finally safe. Not long after, Another volunteer, Gray Bartell, transported them to shore on his airboat. The girls were in shock, barely able to speak about their harrowing experience, but they were alive. They sat in silence as they were wrapped in blankets, absorbing the fact that their nightmare was nearly over. Once reunited with their families, Avery and Eva were rushed to the hospital, where they were treated for hypothermia and dehydration before being discharged. Authorities later praised their resilience, emphasizing that their decision to stay on the paddleboard had ultimately saved their lives. As they recovered from their ordeal, they began to reflect on what they had endured. They spoke about the eerie silence of the night, the relentless cold, the moments when they felt as though they wouldn't make it. They recalled how the sky, once a deep, unrelenting black, had slowly given way to morning light, reviving their hope. But through it all, they had each other. It was their teamwork, their determination, and their refusal to give up that had allowed them to survive. Their story serves as a chilling reminder of the power of the ocean and the importance of preparation when venturing into nature. Though they had faced one of the most terrifying nights of their lives, Avery and Eva's unwavering determination and quick thinking ensured that they would live to tell their tale. And perhaps, in sharing their experience, they would help others understand the true power of the sea and the strength that lies in never giving up hope.